You must be the new recruit. I am a CL4PTP steward bot, but you can just call me General Claptrap of the Crimson Raiders.
You might not think that writing is important in a game that uses shirtless, dirty psychos and fantastical guns as its main selling point, but the Borderlands series is filled with instances of great writing. It's one of the things I was most excited for when checking out Borderlands 3 at a recent preview. We obviously haven't gotten a full look at the latest addition to the franchise yet, but I was able to play a few hours of it and found some, pun intended, narrative bullet points worth talking about. From the villains to some new side characters, Borderlands 3 is looking to be filled with some intriguing and new ideas.
My bad, finger slipped.
When I first heard that the villains of Borderlands 3 were going to be akin to social media influencers, I was a bit skeptical. Making fun of social media or internet culture can go wrong very quickly, with the extent of the joke being one-note or shallow, like, oh wow, the internet is weird, isn't that crazy? And I didn't want that for the Calypso twins. But interacting with them on Pandora is a more complex experience. For example, as you fight Mouthpiece, one of their minions who helps to broadcast their message, you can hear them egging the whole endeavor on. As you watch Lilith fight Tyreen later in the game, you watch them stream the fight directly without any fear or remorse for their actions. It's easy to see that it's not about the fight for them. Well, not exactly. It's about the content.
Gods don't negotiate.
Gods don't negotiate! I love it!
Tyreen and Troy are like Handsome Jack in a lot of ways. They're charismatic and annoying for starters, but their viewpoint is also narrow. They don't even really care about the violence itself. They just like it as a subject to video. They constantly want to produce better and better content like real-life influencers, but in the Borderlands universe, that equates to gorier and more over-the-top violence. It all makes for villains that are more than just their logline.
We're streaming, you're screaming, and we're all preparing to get into the Great Vault.
They're not the only new characters to Borderlands 3. Some familiar faces have made their way over to the game, like Reese and Vaughn, who are expats from Tales from the Borderlands, Telltale's choice and dialogue-driven game set in the Borderlands universe. While Gearbox was involved with the making of Tales, it was unclear if the game would be considered canon when it was first released. Of course, we know now that it is, with both Reese and Vaughn being prominent quest givers in Borderlands 3. Vaughn you meet earlier in the game on Pandora. If you've played Tales, you know that Vaughn was once an accountant at Hyperion who took to the bandit life once he was stranded on the planet. He's not one of my favorite characters for a multitude of reasons, but the reasoning behind his inclusion makes sense.
Yo, little help?
The bandit world is changing on Pandora thanks to the Children of the Vault, the Calypso twins' cult, and they've unified every psycho and fanatic under one umbrella. Vaughn works as this pathetic mouthpiece for the opposite viewpoint. He comes across like this old man who wants kids to get off his lawn and return Pandora to the way it was before. He's used similarly to how he was in the Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary DLC, but he does seem to be less prominent in the main story in 3, at least from the few hours I got to play.
Why do you smell like dust and skin?
Reese is a more intriguing case in that he represents Borderlands 3's move away from Pandora and towards the corporations. Hyperion, Atlas, Malwan, and others have always been a constant presence throughout the Borderlands games, and of course Hyperion was the Source of 2's main enemy, but they've never been personified too much. They've always been this window dressing for Pandora and the guns you pick up, but not much more than that. Borderlands 3 takes the fight literally to the corporations out in space. You engage with the corporations themselves, which is why Reese comes in, since he's now the head of Atlas. In this playthrough, I got a quest that involved learning about the Jacobs family, and as you can see from this footage, it goes to some weird places.
So many of them! It is so cocky and corny!
The corporations are characters of their own in 3 though, which has never been done before in a Borderlands game. That means we'll be getting new dynamics, new environments, and new types of quests, which should move the narrative in an interesting and new direction. It's always tough to say if anything in a preview will reflect the final product, but the chances for a new story with new interesting characters makes the wait for Borderlands 3 even tougher. We'll get to see how this all shapes up when Borderlands 3 hits PC and consoles on September 13th, 2019.
Yes, to the bloodletting!